talk about that, and let's start right there with one Kenny Pickett. That's where we always start on offense. The quarterback finishes the day 19 of 30 for only 160 yards. He averaged 5.3, one touchdown, no interceptions. Did not get sacked here. That was surprising. He had some pressure early, but they kind of settled in. A rating of 88.2. Dave, what are your thoughts on Kenny Pickett?
I missed that he didn't get sacked. Yeah. Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, quarterback hits for Tennessee while we're talking about it. 2.
I was going to say, it was 2 at one point. I didn't know if they had more than that. When your quarterback is hurting and you know that he's hurting, man, great job. I know we're not to them yet on the offensive line of not letting them get to him and hit him. That's really big there. But I don't know if it was the ribs or whatnot. The problem was the inconsistency. The Steelers have that great drive opening everything up. Second drive, third down, George Pickens coming across. I mean, he's not wide open. He's NFL open. All he's got to do is give him the ball, and it's high behind him. It's not only is it a first down, it's a big play. That one hurt. Then the next drive, had Calvin Austin, but I don't think he had everything on the deep ball because of the ribs, but that's just me. Because obviously he didn't get that one far enough to Austin. They were able to catch up. Yeah, there were just times where it was just off. But then I feel like he just settled down much more in the second half. Because in the second half, if I look at it, Pickett was 11 of 15. Only 82 yards, but 11 of 15 and a touchdown with a quarterback rating of 108.2. So you got a little bit more of that better, but there was just, I don't want to say that I don't want to make the excuse of the ribs. I really don't. But at the same time, you can't acknowledge that might be something that could bother him early on to try to figure out.
Well, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, when you find out that there's no structural damage to the bones, so that he did not crack a rib, at least it wasn't labeled that way, then I think pretty sure Mike Tomlin on Monday said he didn't have a cracked rib. That means that it's an injury to the muscles and the cartilage in between the ribs, which can be unbelievably painful, by the way.
Yeah.
It can be almost as bad as cracking a rib in terms of pain. And they did say he was wearing some type of, I don't know, it's like a flak jacket, but as a protection underneath his pads, that can have an issue. And really, anytime you're raising your arm up. So my thing was, if he's healthy enough to play, then how can we give him a crutch of saying, well, it's because of the rib injury? Like, if the Steelers, unless Mitch Trubisky is that bad and they don't trust Mason Rudolph, which maybe that is the case, they'd rather throw out a Kenny Pickett that can't really throw the ball that great. That doesn't make much sense to me. So that tells me that he was healthy enough to play. They saw enough on the walkthrough or practice on Wednesday. He just has to hit those throws. Now, I thought this was Kirk Herbstreit. This is my first time watching a Thursday night game. And the reason why is that we're normally recording our own show during the Thursday night game.
I was going to say, I have it on this TV sometimes, but I don't hear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was in a lot. I saw on Twitter, there was people like, man, they're just all over Levis and they're ripping Pickett. And I was like, well, no, Herbstreit's just being honest. The dude was a college quarterback and he's looking at it and saying, Pickett's just missing. You got to make that throw. You just got to make these throws. And he was brutally honest. I think that's something that Steelers fans were watching this. They needed to see, they needed to hear. The one thing I liked was that I don't think the issues with the offense in this game, yes, there were some brain fart calls. We'll talk about some of those. But Kenny just missed a couple throws. If he makes those throws and if George Pickens gets his feet in bounds, I don't think this game is even that close. I don't even think it comes down to that desperation drive at the end of the game with Will Levis and the Titans. I will give him a pass for this game.
One game.
If by chance, it's one of those situations where the ribs were killing him, he's going to have an extended break, come back against Green Bay. We did see some improvement, though. Like, the first drive was really well constructed, and it worked. And they were moving the ball, and they were doing it with the run and the pass. It was great to see. I don't know. Dave, if you were giving Kenny Pickett a grade, what would you give him? We're not going to do this for all positions. I'm just curious what you think about him.
B-.
Okay.
Overall for the game. If you break it down into the halves, he gets an A in the first half and probably a D- or a D in the first half, just because of missing those key things. But I will say this. Some people are like, oh, if he's not the guy, when are the Steelers going to acknowledge that he's not it after this game? They can't draft, trade, or anything for a quarterback now. And do you really think Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph could be the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. No. Is Kenny Pickett definitely the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. Not definitely. But making that decision now would be the dumbest thing ever. Make it the end of the season. Then you got to decide, are you moving forward? Everyone who wants to dump Kenny Pickett now, yeah, because you want to see Mason come in, who's not even under contract next year, or anything like that, or Trubisky, who really has a lot of people like anything but Trubisky. I get that, but the thing is, don't rip on it now like, oh, the Steelers need to be moving on from Kenny Pickett. Yeah, in week 10, when they're freaking 5-3. No.
Yeah,
but it's got to
be. I agree. I think the question for me is, how big the sample size that we're looking for. Like, at what point does it get to that point where we're like, okay, this is enough? Like, that's my question. Because what has it been, Dave? 21 games?
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
It's over. It's 20, 21. I don't know if tonight. I'm pretty sure
matter. It's
21.
Over 20.
Yeah.
It's over 20. Yeah. Who cares? But still, everyone's like, well, this is a large enough sample size. Well, maybe for you, but maybe he needs more time. I don't know. Like, I know he's not a young guy. He's not a super young quarterback coming out of college. He's 21 years old or anything. He's an older second-year player. But the Steelers invested a first-round draft pick in this guy. They're not getting rid of him. They're not moving on from him anytime.
It would make no sense to do it now. I mean, come on. You're riding Kenny Pickett for 2023. End of story.
I would say in 2024. Does anyone in their right mind think that either Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph could have pulled off the 98-yard drive that's capped off with a Deontay Johnson touchdown? I don't.
Either there's other two quarterbacks? No, I don't either.
No, I don't. And that's why when everyone asked me leading up to the game on my Let's Ride podcast was, oh, do you think that he'll play and should he play? If he's healthy, he plays. It's the best chance to win. He gives them the best chance to win. And it's because he does have that clutch factor. You can't take that away. So for all the bad, there is the good, and that is the fourth quarter.